Hello, everybody. It's Mr. Miller from Healthy Bodies, Healthy Minds, and I am super excited to talk to you today about the MyPlate. Let's get started. We're going to take a closer look. As you can see, the plate is a circle and it has many colors on it. I see red, orange, green, purple, and blue. The red section is for fruits. Some fruits include apples, oranges, bananas, and grapes. Raise your hand if you've had a fruit today. The green section is for vegetables. Foods like corn, carrots, green beans, and spinach will be found in this vegetable section. Half of your plate should be fruits and vegetables. We also want to make sure that you're having a variety of colors. Think of the rainbow. We want you to eat the rainbow of fruits and vegetables. You receive different nutrients and minerals from each of the different colored fruits and vegetables. The orange section is for grains. We would find things like bread, noodles, crackers, bagels, pancakes, and tortillas in this food group. The healthiest grains are called whole grains. Half of your grains should be whole grains each day. The purple section is for proteins. Meat, eggs, nuts, and peanut butter would be found in this group. Lean proteins, such as chicken and fish, are always your best choice. Did you notice this little blue circle at the top of the plate? This is for the dairy food group. Look for foods such as milk, cheese, and yogurt to be in this group. Low fat is always a good choice. Let's see if you can tell the foods that are in the right food group. Fruits and vegetables are up first. We have oranges, noodles, asparagus, avocados, tomatoes, and broccoli, and black beans. I want you to think for a second. Are there any foods in this picture that are not fruit or vegetable? If you guessed noodles, you would be correct. Noodles belong in the grains food group. If you guessed black beans, you would also be correct. Black beans belong in the protein food group. Good job. Next up are our grains food group. We have a muffin, a yellow bell pepper, mushrooms, crackers, noodles, bread. If you guessed the yellow bell pepper does not belong, you'd be correct. Are there any more? Yes, if you guessed mushrooms, you'd also be correct. Awesome job. Which of these foods are proteins? There's an onion, shrimp, salmon, a hamburger, potatoes, and peanuts. If you guessed an onion is not a protein, you are correct. Is there any more? Yep, potatoes would be correct. That is not a protein. Good work, everybody. Our next food group we're going to talk about is the dairy food group. Yogurt, cheese, eggs, chocolate milk, and cauliflower. Are there some foods that don't belong in the dairy food group pictured? If you guessed eggs, you'd be correct. Quite often, boys and girls make this mistake because the eggs are usually sold in the dairy section of the grocery store. And yes, cauliflower is a vegetable. Great job. All right, next up, boys and girls, we're going to go ahead and play a game. I'm going to give you clues to describe the fruit, and you're going to need to try to guess that fruit that I'm describing. Here's your first clue. I am fuzzy and brown on the outside. I am white on the inside. This is also the part of me that you eat. I'm considered a tropical fruit. I am a coconut. If you guessed coconut, boys and girls, you were correct. Great job. All right, let's see what's up next here. Vegetables. I am green, but can be almost any color of the rainbow. I have lots of tiny seeds inside of me. I can be eaten raw or cooked. A lot of times I can be found in a stir fry. What am I? If you guessed a green bell pepper, you are correct. Excellent job. Protein's our next food group. I am a white and yellow protein. Usually I get eaten in the morning. My name only has 3 letters. I am an egg. If you guessed egg, you were correct. And remember, an egg is a protein. Grains. I am very small, so you eat a lot of me. The usual types of meat are long grain or white. I am in a lot of Chinese food dishes. What am I? If you guessed rice, you would be correct. Rice is in the grains food group. Our last food group is the dairy food group. Here we go. I am white. I am kept in the refrigerator. I taste good by myself or with fruit or granola on top of me. I am yogurt. Excellent job, boys and girls. Yes, yogurt is a great source for the dairy food group. You can put fruit on top, and as you can see, there's some granola on top. Excellent job. Well, boys and girls, this concludes today's MyPlate lesson. Thank you so much for taking some time. This has been a great time. Mr. Miller, signing off. Hey gang, it's Mr. Miller with Healthy Bodies, Healthy Minds. Today's lesson, we've talked about the MyPlate, fruit, vegetable, dairy, protein, and grains. What we're going to do now is we're going to get up and do some exercises, and we're going to use those 5 food groups, and we're going to spell out some fruits and vegetables. All right, let's get started. The first food group we're going to talk about is fruit. Remember, fruit is some bananas, strawberries, grapes. Those are all examples of fruit. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our head to spell the word fruit. And again, it's F-R-U-I-T. All right, so here we go. Use your head to spell the word fruit. It's going to look goofy, but let's have some fun. So F-R-U-I dot and T. Perfect. Awesome. So here's the thing, boys and girls. We just used our head. Now I want you to use your nose. And we're going to spell the word apple, which is also a fruit. Are you ready? Use your nose. Stick it out. And A, P, P, L, and E. Awesome. And that's the fruit food group. Good job. Next up, boys and girls, we're going to talk about the vegetable food group. These could be broccoli, carrots, asparagus, and peppers. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our hand to spell the word vegetable. Here we go. And V, E, G, E again, T, A, B, L, and E. Great job. So now we've used our hand. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use our finger and we're going to spell the word pepper. So P, E, P, P again, E, and R. And that's a quick review of vegetables. The next food group I'd like to talk to you about is protein. And these are meats, beans, fish, and nuts. So protein, we're going to use our arm and we're going to spell the word protein. All right, we'll do it sideways for you. Here we go. P, R, O, T, E, I, dot, and N. Awesome, great job. So one of my favorite proteins is steak. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use our elbow and we're going to spell the word steak. So steak, S, T, E, A, and K. Awesome job. All right, boys and girls, the next food group we're going to talk about is grains. And these are foods that are made from wheat. So our bread, our rice, our noodles. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our leg to go ahead and spell the word grains. 1 second, I'm going to fix the camera. Here we go. Leg up. G, R, A, I, dot, N, and S. Great job. Now for this next part, we're going to use our knee and spell out one of my favorite grains, and we're going to use this in the veggie sushi roll-up, and that's tortillas. So, are you ready? So, T, O, R, T, I, dot, L, L, A. Tortilla. Good work. All right, boys and girls, let's spell out the word dairy. D, A, I, dot, R, and Y. Awesome. And now, boys and girls, we're going to use our toe, and we're going to, like we're drawing in the sand, okay? And we're going to spell the word cheese. C, H, E, E, S, and E. Great work. Awesome job exercising today, boys and girls. I hope you had as much fun as I did. It was great to learn about our 5 food groups: fruit, vegetable, dairy, protein, and grains. Until next time, this is Mr. Miller, signing off. Muncha, Muncha, Muncha by Candace Fleming and illustrated by Brian Carras. For years, Mr. McGreely dreamed of planting a garden. He dreamed of getting his hands dirty, of growing yummy vegetables, and of gobbling them all up. But he never once tried until this spring, he said, "This spring, by golly, I'm going to plant a garden." So he hoed and he sowed and he watched his garden grow. Lettuce, carrots, peas, and tomatoes. Yum, yum, yummy, said Mr. McGreely. I'll soon fill my tummy with crisp, fresh veggies. But one night, when the sun went down and the moon came up, 3 hungry bunnies appeared. Tippy, 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 pat. Muncha, muncha, muncha. The next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his gnawed sprouts, he was angry. So he built a small wire fence all around his vegetable garden. There, he declared, no bunny can get into my garden now. And the sun went down and the moon came up,
and Tippy, Tippy, Tippy Pat. Spring, hurdle, dash, dash, dash. Muncha, muncha, muncha. The next morning, Mr. McGrilly saw his nibbled leaves and his gnawed sprouts, and he was really angry. So he built a tall wooden wall behind the small wire fence all around his vegetable garden. He hummed. Those flop ears will never get in. No bunny can get into my garden now. And the sun went down, and the moon came up. And Tippy, Tippy, Tippy Pat, dig, scrabble, scratch, 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 spring, hurdle, dash, 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 muncha, muncha, muncha. The next morning, Mr. McGrilly saw his chewed stems, his nibbled leaves, and his gnawed sprouts. He was really angry. So he made a deep, wet trench outside of the tall wooden wall, behind the small wire fence, all around his vegetable garden. Ha! He snorted. Those pufftails can't get under it. They can't get over it. No bunny can get into my garden now. And the sun went down, and the moon came up. Tippy, Tippy, Tippy Pat, dive, paddle, splash, 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 dig, scrabble, scratch, 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 spring, hurdle, dash, 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 muncha, muncha, muncha. The next morning, when Mr. McGrilly saw his chomped blossoms, his chewed stems, his nibbled leaves, and his gnawed sprouts, he was furious. So he hammered and blocked, sawed and stalked, drilled and filled and tapped and locked. And he built a huge, enormous thing before the deep, wet trench, outside of the tall wooden wall, behind the small wire fence, all around his vegetable garden. I've outsmarted those twitch whiskers for sure, he exclaimed. They can't get through it, they can't get under it, they can't get over it. No bunny, no way, no how, can get into my vegetable garden now. And the sun went down, and the moon came up, and Tippy, 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 stop. 3 hungry bunnies looked and smelled and touched the huge, enormous thing before them, and Tippy, 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 Pat, the bunnies hopped away. The next morning, Mr. McGrilly saw his untouched vegetables, and he was happy. I beat the bunnies, he whooped and did a jiggly-wiggly victory dance. Then he climbed over, jumped across, squeezed between, and crawled under until he reached his vegetable garden. Ah, sighed Mr. McGrilly at last, smacking his lips. He picked up and pulled the lettuce, the carrots, the peas, the tomatoes, and with his basket overflowing, he reached inside for something yummy. Muncha, muncha, muncha. And to his surprise, he saw the bunnies, and he decided to share all of his vegetables with the bunnies. The end. Thanks for listening, boys and girls. I hope you had a wonderful day. Hi, boys and girls. It's Mr. Miller back with another cooking demonstration. Today, we're going to be jumping into the world of veggie sushi. Don't let the sushi scare you. It's going to be delicious. Come on, let's try some new foods. For today's recipe, you will need a red bell pepper, an orange bell pepper, spinach, tortillas, cream cheese, salt, chili powder, and salsa. Today's cooking materials are a big mixing bowl, 3 measuring cups, 1 for a 1/4 scoop, 1 for a 1/2 teaspoon, and 1 for 1/4 of a teaspoon, and a spoon to stir it with. All right, boys and girls, it's time to get cooking. I've got my mixing bowl here. We're going to start to combine our ingredients. We have our cream cheese, our chili powder, our salsa, and our salt. We're going to put them into the bowl, and that's going to act as the first layer of the veggie sushi. So first thing we're going to do is we're using all 8 ounces of our cream cheese. I've already cut it. I'm just going to go ahead and slide this in. Okay. And as you can see, there's the cream cheese inside. Our next step is going to be to get our salsa. And the recipe calls for 1/4 of a cup of salsa. So I've got my measuring spoon here. And remember, we want to make sure it's nice and flat. We don't want to have a big heaping scoop. Just like so. and put her in. Awesome. Set your dish aside. We still have 2 more ingredients, but as you can see, it's starting to become a little bit of a mess in there. We have our salt. So with our salt, we're going to have 1/4 of a teaspoon. 1/4 of a teaspoon. Don't want to use a lot of salt, just what the recipe calls for. Perfect. Awesome. And next up, we have our chili powder. Okay, this is a brand new bottle right here, so I'm going to take the top off. And you want to make sure that you're using your 1/2 teaspoon. So we have 1/2 teaspoon. It calls for 1 1/2, so we're going to do some quick math here. 1 1/2 is actually the same as 1/2 plus 1/2 plus 1/2. So we're going to do this 3 scoops. So remember, again, nice and simple and flat and level. So there's 1/2 plus another 1/2 equals 1 whole. And then 1 more 1/2 equals 1 1/2. And as you can see, boys and girls, we've got a whole bunch of ingredients in there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to mix it up with our spoon. Okay, boys and girls, as you can see, I'm just kind of chopping it up right now, using my big hard wooden spoon to kind of mix it up a little bit. And then eventually what you're going to do is you're going to be able to smooth it out enough where it's going to be nice and creamy, almost like a paste that we can put on top of our tortillas. It might stick to your spoon a little bit, but that's okay. And we want to make sure we're getting it all. So you can see how it's starting to change color. And that's the chili powder sauce mixing with the salsa and the salt and, of course, the cream cheese. And when you get it done, it should look something like that. And here is a picture of the finished product from the cream cheese, chili powder, salsa all mixed together. I've just taken it out of a big mixing bowl and placed it into a bowl that we'll use to spread later on. All right, boys and girls, here's our orange bell pepper that's been cut into 2. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna cut nice and skinny, long pieces, because we're gonna actually put these into the veggie sushi in the tortilla. Always be careful when you're cutting. We're going to use these slices, like I said, combined with the red bell pepper, and what you'll see next. And again, we're going to follow the exact same pattern with our red bell pepper. Be sure to make sure you get all the seeds out. There are seeds inside of red bell peppers. And again, nice, thinly sliced pieces of the red bell pepper. Be careful to not cut yourself again. Always focus whenever you're using a knife. And then once you've completed this, you're just going to set them aside, and we're going to move on to our next ingredient. Okay, boys and girls, now it's time for the assembly of the veggie sushi. We have our sliced red bell peppers. We have our sliced orange bell peppers. We have this wonderful creation we made with the sour cream and the salsa and the chili powder and the salt. And we have our spinach that we've set aside. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use a spoon, and we're going to take a spoon and we're going to scoop up a little bit of the cream cheese, and you're just going to go back and forth in the middle of the tortilla, like so. And as you can see, we've just kind of put it into the middle of the tortilla. Next up, we're going to grab 2 slices of our red bell peppers, 1 and 2, and 2 slices of our orange bell peppers, 1 and 2, and we're just going to place those in the middle of the tortilla. Next up, we take a handful of spinach from our spinach. And we're just going to go ahead and place it there. All right, now this is the cool part, boys and girls. This is where we start to get the recipe roll up. So you're going to take this right here and you're going to fold it in, bring it all the food in to about 3/4 of the way through, and you're going to pull it back to yourself like so. Then, keeping it nice and tight, you're going to go ahead and roll it nice and tight. So it should look like that. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take your knife next and just cut off the last inch or so on both sides. Now you have a roll, and now, keeping it tightly packed, you're going to cut these into roughly 1.5 inch pieces. And you should get roughly about 5 samples. And now, let's take a look. As you can see, it's got the spinach, the orange and red bell pepper, and it's got the beautiful cream cheese and chili powder. It kind of looks like sushi, doesn't it? Well, boys and girls, like we said, the best part about making the recipe is trying the recipe. And remember, don't yuck my yum, and please take your no thank you bite. I'll try mine. So good, so good. Well, that wraps up our cooking demonstration for today. I hope you had a great time. This is Mr. Miller, signing off. To find more information, please visit MyHotm.recipes for more Michigan Harvest of the Month recipes.